muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros en este espacio de Hey. Miren, yo suelo decirles que estoy emocionada, pero quizá a comparación de hoy no era nada. ¿Por qué? Porque estoy platicando y tengo el honor de traerles una entrevista con uno de los más grandes artistas, de los más grandes músicos que tenemos hoy en día. Hay quien diría que la música pop, yo digo que la música en general, pop, rock, lo que ustedes digan, es un honor estar aquí con Mika.
Gracias.
Gracias a ti, we spoke, you speak 4 languages.
Yes, I speak French, English. I'm like, which one do I speak? French, English. I speak Italian. I used to speak perfect Spanish.
Uh-huh.
And then I had to do a TV show in Italy, which was X Factor.
Yes.
And I signed the contract without speaking any Italian, but I spoke Spanish. So then I had to learn Italian in about 2 months.
So it gets mixed up.
No, it just pushed the Spanish because I don't know why. It was such an intense way of learning a language that it took a lot of the space that the Spanish had. But I know that if I studied Spanish even for like 2 weeks, I'd have it back. But I understand everything. Entiendo todo.
Mika, we're so excited to have you here. We've been speaking about how many fans you have. I told you were here 2 years ago. You said, no, it was like 4 or
5 years ago, for like 24 hours.
Yeah.
So this is really my first trip, because I'm here for 5-6 days. I'm going to do an acoustic show here. I'm doing tons of different radio and stuff. But the nice thing is, in the evenings, I have the evenings to myself. So what does anybody with a heart and with half a brain do in Mexico City? Come 7 p.m. they eat. It's the best food in the world. So I've been just trying all the different restaurants, and it's really a great city. What an amazing, amazing city. What an amazing population as well in this city. And so I feel very welcome, and I feel very like a fish in water in a way. I mean, I'm half Lebanese.
Yes.
So there's a temperament that has always been a little bit hotter than the northern European countries that I've always lived in.
Right.
And in a way, I've always been at odds with the cultures that I found myself in. And my music is the result of that. It's this kind of mix of the Anglophile kind of ironic and the sense of humor, and then you've got this warmth that comes into the melody, which is more my Mediterranean side. And I've always confounded and confused a lot of Northern European countries. You know, I always remember from the first day, and even today, for my first album in the UK, I had the most stellar 5-star reviews and the most disgusting, violent, aggressive, offensive, borderline discriminatory reviews that would give me 1 star only because they said that they didn't have the mechanics to give me none.
Oh my God, was that live in cartoon motion?
Yes, but
oh my God, that's the best record
but those were big journalists that I had grown up reading, and so I kind of always had this kind of disparity, this polarized attitude to what I did.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was because my home was a Lebanese home in the context of an English culture. I'm the result of all these things, and I was always going to polarize. It only became really irritating when the journalists got younger and they turned into people that I had even gotten to school with.
Of course.
And then I'm just like, I want to kill you.
Like, dude, what's going on? But you're right. Here, I think there's a lot of comprehension about the Middle Eastern culture.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of things that we have in common.
There's a lot of empathy.
A lot of things that have to do with family, too.
Absolutely. The concept of family, I work with my family. I come from a family of 5. I still work out of my kitchen. If, it doesn't matter who I'm working with, from Swatch, because me and my sister designed for Swatch. We do it in my kitchen. They wanted to have a meeting with us. They have to come to the kitchen. If we're working with Valentino, when they come and we want to discuss a new project, the 2 designers fly in, we sit in my kitchen and we eat, and either I cook or my sister cooks or my mother cooks. And it's this idea that the family and this nucleus is a good area to develop things from.
Absolutely. Now, I must tell you this, because I remember when Life in Cartoon Motion came out, I know my experience, and that's what I can talk about, but I talked about it with a lot of friends. It has such an amazing mix of the happiest, most euphoric music I've ever heard to the saddest stories ever.
So, the most depressing music.
I love that.
but,
Billy Joel says it's either sadness or euphoria in Summer Highland Falls.
Absolutely.
So
Billy Joel was the master of that kind of happy sad, that kind of delicious melancholy.
Right. I think you are too.
Well, that's kind. I mean, I think that even in sadness, however, you have to have a sense of beauty. And so even in the saddest song you've ever heard, which is what I say in a song called Last Party, which talks about a horrible moment in another artist's life, when he was basically handed a death sentence, because it talks about Freddie Mercury when he found out that he was HIV positive, and he locked himself in a nightclub and had this crazy party for 3 days with him and his friends, drugs, sex, alcohol, everything. That's how he reacted. So, and in the song it says, this is the saddest song you've ever heard, this is the saddest moment of your life, but let's dance, let's sing, let's party. And so there's this kind of like very kind of macabre but quite tender sense of sad beauty. And I think that even in the saddest moments, there has to be a sense of beauty, and that's what makes it digestible. Again, I think that's why I've always kind of related to a lot of literature that's come out of Latin America in general, from those boom authors, you know. The kind of
anyone in
boom
particular?
gang. Well, everyone from Marquez to you know, the whole gang. It's just that sense of magic beauty, and even when it's melancholy. Of course, there's this certain thing that's, of course, it's slightly nostalgic and slightly chocolate boxy, but then again, it's not a bad thing either.
And also, when you try a little Freddie,
Yeah.
I know what you were in We Will Rock You, right?
No.
Is that a myth?
It's a myth.
It's a myth,
It's
because
funny, I was doing this
people believe that.
hour and a half interview with on Alpha this morning on the radio station, and he was going on about how I was in We Will Rock You. I was like, no,
You
I've
were
never
not.
been in We Will Rock You, ever.
Because a lot of people compare your voice to Freddie's.
That's a compliment. I'm friends with Roger Taylor and Brian May, and in the beginning they were like, oh, you want to come and sing a song with Queen? I was like, no, I have no intention of singing a song with Queen. I would never put myself in that context, because like I always say, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I entirely intend, I fully intend on staying a fan. There's only one way to ruin your fandom, is to get too close to something. You know what I mean? That's why I always say, like, I'm a huge fan of Billy Joel. I'm a huge fan of Rufus Wainwright. I don't want to meet them. I never want to meet Rufus Wainwright. Keep him away from me, because I don't want it to be real. I've had experiences with another legendary genius singer-songwriter from the same generation as Billy Joel, and it really didn't go very well, and I wish I hadn't done it.
I have a story for you. A few years ago, I'm not even going to be able to try to tell time again, but I went to London, and I went to see Alan Cumming. I bought a blue card today. And there was this song where he mashed a Dolly Parton song with my interpretation.
I know, it's so weird.
And then I got home.
It was kind of genius.
It was, actually, I love it. Then I got home, and Twitter was beginning. I was following you, and I heard that you were at the theater that day. Were you?
No.
You weren't?
No, but it was he.
Or you heard, or you
No.
heard about that song that day or something.
No, I saw him that day.
You saw him that day.
I didn't
yeah.
go to the show because
Oh.
I was.
Good, 'cause
I
then
think
I
I
was
was
so
on a
angry
TV
that I
show.
didn't get to
But
see
then
you.
I saw him afterwards. I think we played billiards and got drunk on beer in some restaurant in Chiswick. Which is typical of Alan Cumming. You'll always have nights like that with Alan.
Also, I must tell you, as a fan of Wicked, and I know you're good friends with Stephen Schwartz,
Yes.
the popular song has, I think that's one of the things people have gotten here a lot lately, because Wicked opened 2 years ago here, or 3 years
Yeah.
ago.
It's popular, and I did it with Ariana Grande. Originally, I did it with a songwriter, genius young songwriter called Priscilla Renee, and we were just messing around in the studio. And she was talking about how she was really bullied at school. And
Yes.
you should see her, like, this girl is, like, strong, she's funny, she's, like, written songs from everyone from Rihanna to Madonna to, I mean, everyone. And she's, like, 20-something years old. And she's like, yeah, I just got, you know, hammered at school. She was going on about how violent the bullying was for her at school. Right. I was like, oh, that's funny. It was kind of like that for me, too. And then, you know, we came up with this line, and I said to her, she looked at me, she goes, you were the popular one, the popular kids. It is what it is. Now I'm popular, bitch. She said that. And I replied, sitting on the field with your pretty pom-pom. Now you're working at the movie selling popular corn.
And then comes in the song.
And then we threw in popular And we just used it, and I sent it to Steven. I was like, will you, by any chance, because he'd rejected Kanye from using the song.
Oh, thank God.
He rejected so many people from using the sample. And I was like, please, do you think, is there a chance, maybe? And he heard it, and he was like, you understood. You know, I felt like that too when I was younger. Yes, you can have the song. Do whatever you want with it.
Just one more question, because our time is almost up. And but I need to know the story in Any Other World. Who is she? I always imagine her
She's
being
a lady.
your grandmother.
No, she's not my grandmother. She's a very complicated woman. Again, like, you know, there's nothing simple about anyone in life, and she's a perfect example. She's someone who used to hang out at our house. We had a lot of people growing up who just hung out at the house. One of the people that hung out at the house is now 97 and lives in our house.
Okay.
And because she's too old now, and she just decided to live with us. But we have, you know, loads of different people that used to live with us. And I have to say, this one was, she had one eye, and she lost her eye in a bomb in the war in Beirut during the Civil War. But it left her with these scars, and also she's really conflicted as to who, nowadays, she's a woman who's very conflicted, and it's very angry in quite a violent way about the situation in the Middle East. And so I wrote Any Other World, which doesn't cast any judgment. It doesn't say who's right, who's wrong. It just shows how everything can be thrown upside down, and that even when something bad happens to you, you're still not safe. Like, there's still worse things that can happen to you if you let the anger take over. And I was like, in any other world, even when you lose your family, you lose your life, you lose your parts of your body, but the anger still doesn't let you see clearly, and you can't heal. I was like, in any other world with a little bit more distance, we could tell the difference, and we could organize ourselves properly. But for now, we can't, so we give in. And it's quite a hopeless lyric, and I never really actually talk about her. It's the first time I've ever spoken about who she is, because she's not great, she's not bad, she's not good. She's just complex.
One of us.
She's one of us.
Thank you, Mika. It's been such an amazing talk with you. I wish you were more part of our lives here, but you are with your music.
Well, I'm starting now.
Well, we won't let you go.
And I'm going to be coming back a lot more.
You have no idea how many people love you here.
That's very kind to
You'll
say
figure
so.
it out.
Thank you.
Me one of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this.
Y muchísimas gracias a ustedes. Es una entrevista con los grandes músicos que existen.
Gracias.
Gracias a ti, querida Mika. Y con eso nos quedamos por hoy. Sigan pendientes de todos los espacios de Hey en Milenio Televisión.